Greetings, everyone. I'm Dr. Colosimo. This is our 5th episode of a new series that we're calling the Weekly Juan Diego. And with me here today is the chaplain of the Skaggs Catholic Center, Father Michael Augustine. Welcome, Father.
Thank you, Doctor. This is an honor to be here. I was really surprised.
It's a prestigious program we've got.
It is. I mean,
lots of followers. I think we're up to like 70 or 80 followers.
That's so it. And this is number 5.
The 5th episode.
5th episode.
Are you upset that we didn't have you in the first 2 episodes, or do you kind of feel like you're okay?
I'm kind of grateful. I think you needed a couple episodes to sort of find your voice and your vibe, and I think you're ready.
I doubt we found it. Well, wanted to kind of chat with you a little bit, and I think this is your 2nd year. You're beginning your 2nd year, and I think the first thing that is good for people to understand is the Dominican habit. So you're a priest in the order of the Dominicans, and the Dominicans have a very distinctive habit. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I belong to the Dominicans, and that's our nickname. The actual name of our religious order is the Order of Preachers. So after every Dominican signs their name, they put a comma and they write OP for Order of Preachers. Our nickname is Dominicans, named after our founder, St. Dominic.
St. Dominic, yeah.
And so our habit or our garb goes back to the early days. We're a 13th century mendicant order, and this is what mendicants wore. So there's 5 parts to the habit that I wear. The bottom part is what we call tunic, and it's what Jesus wore. Jesus wore a tunic, and they talked about it. They rolled dice for his tunic when he was crucified. The second part is called the scapular. It's this part, and this is a symbol of Mary. Mary wore a scapular. We're a Marian order. We have a devotion to Mary, so we wear this. The third part is called the capuce, which is our hood. This serves a couple of purposes. When it's cold, you put it up. But also, too, if you're in a prayerful place and just want to be kind of left alone, you put up your hood and the other brothers know, okay, he needs some space. He's praying or whatever. Then we have a belt we call a cincher, but then we have a rosary. We wear usually a 15-decade rosary.
How much does that rosary weigh? Like
this
27 pounds?
This is a heavy one because it has metal beads, and it's a bit heavy, but you know what? It's probably going to last as long as I last.
Probably. Yeah.
So
you're not a diocesan priest.
No.
You are a Dominican priest. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between the two?
Sure. So when you enter religious life and you enter a religious order or congregation, you usually enter because that group has what we call a charism, or their thing. The Jesuits, their thing is higher education. They run a lot of universities. They do missionary work. Franciscans, they serve the poor. They serve the outsider. Dominicans, we're preachers and teachers. We're itinerant preachers, and we kind of go and we preach wherever we're needed or wherever we're called. And from the early days, that was the purpose that bishops wanted for the Dominicans, is to go out and preach. And for that reason, a lot of times we were dispensed to do certain things because of our order and our mission to preach. And that's something that we've carried on for 800 plus years. Yeah. So we preach, we teach, we live in community typically.
So the Catholic Church has all these orders that have were spun up spontaneously, usually by a fairly popular charismatic leader like St. Dominic or St. Francis, St. Ignatius of Loyola. And so that's part of the Catholic Church that runs under that operations. But what is a diocesan priest? How is that different than you?
Okay, so a diocesan priest, we'll use an example, Father Tilley over at St. John the Baptist. He's a diocesan priest. So he entered under a diocese, and he entered the priesthood under a certain bishop, the bishop of Diocese of Salt Lake City. So his obedience and everything he does is through the bishop. I belong to a religious order, so my obedience is to the master of my order or to my provincial. So the master of the order sort of delegates his authority to the provincial. The provincial oversees our province, which is the Western United States. So the Dominicans basically educated me, they house me, they feed me. I take a vow of obedience to my provincial. So the provincial could say, Father Michael Augustine, I want you to go to Salt Lake City and work. And I say, yes, Father, and I go.
Yeah. So a provincial would be similar to a bishop.
Yes. The provincial, very good analogy. It's similar to a bishop. Our provincial, though, they change every 4 to 8 years, depending on if they get a second term. So they're elected for a 4-year term. They could have 2 terms at most. So there's this sort of dynamic of new leadership every once in a while. With it comes new structures, new people doing new jobs. So in a sense, it keeps us it keeps us very flexible, very fluid.
Whereas a diocesan structure is pretty set.
Yeah.
The religious order structure is more flexible, more fluid. So just the difference. It's all under the auspices of the Roman Catholic Church.
That's it. We all have one boss, the Pope.
The Pope, right. Talk a little bit about what it means for a Dominican to live in community, say, as opposed to a diocesan priest.
Okay. So as a Dominican, I live in community. My community is, I live with 2 other Dominicans who minister to the Newman Center at the University of Utah, St. Catherine of Siena Newman Center. And so we live in a structure where we have a superior and a treasurer and whatever offices we need to maintain our household. And we live in common. So when you enter the Dominicans, you take 3 vows. You take a vow of obedience, a vow of poverty, and a vow of celibacy. For us to live our vows to their fullest, we really need to be in community, because the community is our source of support and strength. If I'm working here, I get a paycheck. I don't get to take the paycheck, put it in my bank account, and go out and buy nice stuff. I get my paycheck, I go to my superior, and I go, here's my paycheck.
Yeah.
And then I'm the treasurer for our community, and he turns around and goes, here's the paycheck, put it in the bank. So everything we earn is in common. We really don't own anything. The car I drive here belongs to the community. The clothes that I wear them, but really the community has bought them for me.
Right.
And that's how we try to live as simply as possible.
And so it's different. A diocesan priest would live in a rectory, and generally he could live with other priests, but more and more he's usually living by himself.
Yeah, diocesan priests, they typically live by themselves. They live in a rectory, and they need to provide for their retirement. I don't have to. When I took my vows to our community, to our province, I basically said, I'm at your service. Anything I make or earn, I contribute to the province. And in return, they said, we will take care of you.
Yeah, it's a different way of living.
Yeah.
So what is it that you do as the chaplain of the Skaggs Catholic Center?
What do I do as chaplain? I think the best way to understand it is I'm a resource. I'm a resource to the students. I'm a resource to faculty and staff. I'm a resource to families. And I'm a resource to help them facilitate a greater relationship with God, however it might be.
And is that true across all 3 schools?
All 3 schools, and to the degree that I can, the daycare. I'm doing a little bit of work over there.
So you're the chaplain for Guardian Angel Daycare, the chaplain for St. John the Baptist Elementary, the chaplain for St. John the Baptist Middle School, and the chaplain for Juan Diego Catholic High School.
Correct.
So you talk about being a resource for the community, and I think that's an excellent role for a chaplain to have. Can you talk a little bit about how, if someone would like to reach you, whether it's a teacher or a parent or a student, how is it that people can reach you?
The best way to get hold of me is email me.
Okay.
One of the reasons is being a resource. I'm on the move a lot. I have a lot of ground to cover, and the best way for me to assist people and connect with people is just being around them. I'm not in my office a lot. So probably the best way is either come by my office, write a note, leave it on my desk, or go ahead, email me, or just grab me in the hallways. I'm walking around, just pull me aside. I always have my phone with me. I could throw you on the calendar. Those are the best ways.
You're the man in the white Dominican habit, so you're pretty easy to find.
That's right. I'm the guy in white.
Yeah, and if a parent were to see you in a hallway, it would be appropriate to come and say, Father, can we talk a little bit? That would be,
definitely.
it's fine.
Definitely,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you for that. Well, thank you for being here. And now
Thanks
that
for
we've got I think that's the most common question I hear about you is, what is that white garb that he has? And I appreciate you clearing that all up.
All
for us.
right, all right. Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time on Weekly Juan Diego for episode 6. Thank you, everyone.